All right, should we just start? Okay, well, you can let us know when you're ready with the film and we'll start. The idea of showing you this film was to give you a sense of the beautiful landscape that this book is set in. And I hope you'll get a chance to see that, about the loneliness and solitary sense that you get from that lighthouse. And while we wait for that, Firat, can you tell us and the audience a little bit about your book and what inspired you to write it?
Yes, with pleasure. We can watch the movie later. But before I start, I would like to ask the audience, has anybody birthday today?
Anyone's birthday?
No? Anybody birthdays in this week? Okay. So this is your birthday holiday.
Oh, there's more people
Okay.
raising hands now.
So, can somebody just give her happy birthday?
Every book launch should be like this, by the way.
Yes. If you have time after the session, I can sign the book for you.
Thank you, that's so sweet.
So, okay, then some words about my book. So, The Lighthouse Family is a historical fiction and novel. The story is told through the eyes of a little boy living during the Second World War in Izmir in a lighthouse with his family. The lighthouse is far away from everything, everywhere, everyone. So he lives with two siblings, mother, father, and an auntie there. And the story starts against the background of war, Second World War. But this is not a war novel because Türkiye was not at war. This is more a family drama, I would like to say. So, Türkiye is not at war, but people of Türkiye suffer from war in forms of poverty or privations. And for the children, our protagonist and his two sisters and brother, this is just like a game. They are in the war, they witness the war, but for them it's not something serious. But then in the course of time, gradually we see how their life changed during the war. So, I think, is it enough or shall I?
No, I want to in fact lead
Yes.
you on from that.
But I can add more
Yeah.
thing. But this is, although it's not a large book, a very small, short story, just 108 pages, but it is more than during World War time. So this is, you can also read the turbulent political history of recent Turkey. So it starts from the World War II, but continue in 50s, 80s. So you will have some picture about Turkey's recent story about this with this book as well.
Thank you. I want to take you from the larger political story to something more personal. You have chosen to tell the story of a very poignant and turbulent time in history, but you have chosen to tell it through the eyes of a child. Why did you choose to tell such a difficult story through the eyes of a child, and what was that experience like for you?
Because children are always affected by tragedies more than adults. And they are the biggest victims of wars. Now, let's see now, for example,
Yes.
in Gaza, in Palestine, in less than 4 months, more than 10,000 children, innocent children, have been killed. Can you imagine? A greater tragedy cannot exist. So, within 4 months, more than 10,000 children, along with their dreams, have been killed. So this is the reason why I have chosen, because children, they don't have any prejudice. They just see everything as they are. And then looking all the events through the eyes of a child, so that brings the sense of innocence. So that's why I would like to just tell all the story through the eyes of a little boy.
Thank you. That's actually very, very moving. And to move from the character of a child, I want to move on to something which is not a human being, but also is still a very big character in your book, which is the lighthouse. Your book is called The Lighthouse Family. And the lighthouse itself is really like a character in the book. And it symbolizes something within the actual story, but also something larger. Can you tell me what is the meaning of the lighthouse in your book?
Yeah, lighthouse symbolizes the loneliness. We cannot see lighthouses in our daily life. These are special and sometimes very romantic-looking buildings. And these are alone, far away from everything, everywhere. And this is also a symbol of being far away, like in Virginia Woolf's Lighthouse novel. So, because the main topic of my book also is loneliness. At the end of the book, our narrators say, I didn't know the worst thing which can fill you is the emptiness. So it also symbolizes the emptiness. So that's why I have chosen a lighthouse.
It's a symbol of standing alone in a very desolate landscape.
Just a symbol of loneliness.
Yes. And now to move from loneliness to comfort. Now family plays a very, very important role in this memoir, in the novel. How did you go about crafting every family character with their own distinctive personalities? How much of it is based on your own family? And did they read it and how did they react to it?
Okay, so I will try to answer this question without any spoilers, but I have to explain a bit, of course, about my characters. So, first of all, characters are most important thing in a novel, even more important than the plot itself. Yes. So, in the course of time, you can maybe not remember the details of the story, of the plot, but strong characters are unforgettable. So that's why they are very important. So trying to give some details about the characters without a spoiler. So all characters in my book, they symbolize something. So the main characters, the siblings. The siblings symbolizing the solidarity, the sibling love, and the bonds, family bonds. So the mother and father, they were, both of them, subject to forced immigration. So that's why they are also symbolizing the feeling of being uprooted, but from opposite perspectives. So they are also always in clash in the family, mother and father. So, and then their elderly aunt, Hanım Hala, she's about 90 years old, and then she's the symbol of wisdom, forgiveness, and tolerance. So they all have their own characters.
That's very moving. In fact, I'm going to just pause this for a minute because I think we now have the video.
Yes.
I'd love you all to see this beautiful video.
Let's watch the video and then we continue because it's important, I think.
Yeah.
Can we have the video, please?
And I thank you in advance, the Penguin team, for preparing this video.
As you can see, I hope that gave you a sense of the beautiful landscape that this book is set in. One of the things we saw in the video is this book touches upon the themes of the indomitable human spirit. And there are very few things, I think, which test the human spirit in the same way that exile and displacement does. And it is possibly, for human beings, one of the most difficult things in a lifetime to face exile or displacement. How much does this theme draw from your own experiences? And can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yes. First, I would like to talk about Turkey's location. You know, Turkey is located between East and West, at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, the Balkans, the Caucasian, the Middle East. And in our region, tens of millions of people, they were subject to migration. And my family as well. My family, both from mother's side and father's side, they were forced to exile from the regions now belong to Bulgaria and Greece. And then I grew up with the stories of migration, how they came, how they had to leave their home where they lived hundreds of years. So they are really very poignant stories. And my grandfather, he died when he was 96. And then until his last breath, he was telling about those stories. And it's, I grew up with those stories, and I think now they are in my genes as well. So that's why there are also some stories from my family as well.
Yeah. And what do you think, like when you wrote this book, what do you hope that readers will take away from it? What is the message that you would have wanted your readers to take away? What is the message that you would have liked your readers to take away from the book?
Yes, the messages, more than my one messages as a matter of fact. As I said, there are stories in stories. This is a multi-layered book. You feel different various stories, and each story tells you something and a symbol. What we can pick up from the novel is, first of all, it's also related to Indian people, because family bonds are very important in India. So you will see strong family bonds, the sibling love, the sacrifice, and indomitable human spirits. The sacrifice is very, in the center of the book, because in some pages you will see how the solidarity, how the siblings help their brothers in bad situation, help them to continue their study. And this is, of course, an anti-war novel. But if you ask me, all novels must be anti-war. But this novel tells you as well the consequences of a war, how the war changed lives. And in my book, the war is even not their wars. Turkey was not at wars. So this is some just captions that you can pick from my book.
And moving on from this, I want to ask you another question and then give you some time to read from the book so that the audience can get a sense of it. The final question that I want to ask you is, this is your first book which has been translated into English. Can you tell us what it feels like for your book to reach a larger global audience?
Yes, thank you very much. So my books have been translated in several languages. Even the Lighthouse Family was translated in Arabic, Malayalam, Kannada, and so on. These are some examples of translations. But it's translated and published first time in Penguin today. And this is more than this, because it is my first novel published in English overall. And I am so excited and so happy. As you say, it will be, my book will finally meet with their global audience. This is very important for me. And thank you very much for being and sharing this emotional and very happy moment with me today. Thanks.
And as an audience, let's give a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we are also very happy to have your book translated. Would you like to read from the book? Because I think we have just about 6 minutes left. And then we have to unveil the book as well.
This is chapter 2, My Mother's Roots. It must have been 7 or 8 years earlier. I was not yet at school when my mom took us to Sazak to show the house she was born and raised in. Like all the stone houses watching the sea from the hilltop, its doors and windows had been plundered. It was blue, she mumbled. The door was blue as the sea. Daddy had painted it with chivit. Our village had been founded here on this hill to protect it from the pirates so they wouldn't raid the village or kidnap its people. Daddy loved the sea. He had painted our door blue so he'd feel closer to it. Look, the sea is coming to our door, he used to say. She had pointed to the purple silhouette on the horizon to answer to my, where are the people on this village? I've never forgotten the silent sniffing sobs. That day, my mother was virtually turned into a little girl my age, dragging us behind her as if we were playing house, in and out of houses through absent doors, and catching up with the phantoms of absent neighbors lingering in the ruins. My next visit to Sazak was last year. This time it was my Nana, who was prepared to walk for hours just to see her old village once more in this lifetime. As she had wandered among the ruins, the old woman had grown younger in contrast to the village that had grown older. It was like being in an ancient town where people had lived long ago. But it hadn't been centuries, only years. The roofs were gone, looking for the gold supposedly buried by the rams. Treasure hunters had dug holes everywhere, even bored into hearts and taken chimney apart to see if there was anything hidden there. It was like every memory and all that had gone had perished under a massive landslide. The church's roof was missing too. Your school's roof was repaired with the tiles taken from our church, Nana had said. Of course, your school used to be a church too. I may have found it strange that she would lay claim to the infidels' church as our church, but had bitten my tongue all the same. Her brimming eyes had scanned the terraces invaded by scrap. No vineyards, nor market gardens left. It's all ruined, she had sighed. Her voice trembled as we approached their house, with faltering footsteps apparently reluctant to face reality. She murmured breathless prayers, stepped in with a basmala to be greeted by a fig tree in the middle of the house. The crickets fell silent, and a great big lizard slithered away to hide under a rock. Nana moved slowly, mourning, alone with her memories, aged palms stroking the stone walls in a blessing. She too wept in silence like my mom. I don't recall how long we stayed surrounded by the four bare walls of the home she was finally reunited with 20 years later. She talked to herself from time to time and cried from time to time. She would never have got up unless I'd said, Nana, let's go now. It's get dark.
Thank you so much for this incredibly moving passage. And to close the session, I think we can go and unveil the book over here.
We shall